Harris?
You know T.I.?
Huh?
T.I.?
Who's that?
That's my father.
No, I know it. Is it?
Yeah.
Okay. Didn't he just retire? Or
Yeah.
say he's gonna retire?
Yeah.
Okay. How old are you, man?
20.
20?
Yes, sir.
There's one in the head.
Does your buddy have one as well?
It's guns in here.
Alright, just hang tight right here for me. Let me clear this. I don't want any accidental fires.
Welcome back to Juicy Real, where we break down the drama, the chaos, and the stories Hollywood tries to hide. Tonight we're diving into something wild. T.I.'s worst nightmares turning into reality.
So what they say my warrant for?
So your warrant is for a failure to appear. Dispatch is going to call in and make sure it's still valid.
Failure to appeal where? I didn't have no court dates.
It's for a DUI out of Pickens County.
Out of Pickens County?
Or you can go and pick on that one.
The only DUI, I had a suspicion of a DUI a long time ago, and
For years, T.I. has been warning his son, King Harris, to slow down before he crashed his whole future. But now the whispers are louder than ever. A judge could slam King with a brutal 5-year prison sentence. And here's the crazy part.
nothing's in there. Come back so we can figure out what the fuck I got going on. It's nothing in the fucking car.
T.I. himself called this way back in 2022. He straight up said if King didn't get his act together, the streets and the system would eat him alive. And let's be real, is anyone really shocked right now? Because King's track record has been screaming trouble for years. From that reckless driving stunt,
Will be used against you in the court of law. You have the right to talk to a lawyer and have him or her present with you while you're being questioned. If you cannot afford to hire a lawyer, one will be appointed to represent you before any questioning if you wish. You can decide at any time to exercise these rights and not answer any of my questions or make any statements.
to the viral Waffle House brawl, to flashing weapons like trophies in his music videos, King's been moving like the rules don't apply to him. Each move looked like a spark, but now the whole house is on fire.
Ain't nobody getting nothing going. Nothing. Call who you need to call, do what you need.
That 2024 arrest footage exposed everything. Cops caught him swerving like he was invincible, almost crashing straight into a police car. When they finally stopped him, boom, weed in the ride, a gun strapped to his hip, and just when you thought it couldn't get worse, an old 2022 warrant came crawling back to haunt him, locking in his fate like a trap he set for himself. This isn't just another celebrity kid gone wild. This is a storm brewing that could leave King behind bars for years. It was like every reckless move King Harris ever made came crashing down on him all at once.
As much criticism as I receive about my son, I would like to shed light on the fact. We all got bad ass kids, okay? Now listen, don't.
Every bad choice, every wild stunt, all stacking up until the whole pile finally toppled over. And now people are asking the question nobody wants to say out loud. Did T.I. fail at raising his own son? T.I. is staring at a reality that no father ever wants to face. His son could be slapped with a 5-year prison sentence. For years, T.I. tried to warn the world. If King didn't slow down, if he kept living reckless, he'd end up either in a cell or worse. And now, in a cruel twist, it looks like T.I.'s own prophecy is coming true before his eyes. The chaos started back in October 2024, and it all played out like something out of a movie. King, behind the wheel of his BMW, pulled out of a gas station in Atlanta and nearly smashed straight into a police cruiser. The officers hit the brakes, pulled him over, and immediately picked up on that strong smell of marijuana seeping from the car. But that was just the start. Because when King stepped out, he had a gun holstered right there on his hip, like he was untouchable.
Patient with staff.
So what I'm saying is, they wasn't
talk like that outside.
Hey, I can talk how the fuck I want to wherever I'm at. I'm on live, shawty. Stop talking to me. Stop talking to me. This ain't your fucking restaurant. This ain't your fucking restaurant. Everything you make, I can pull out my pocket right now. I ain't tripping on you.
And then the hammer dropped. Once the cops ran his ID, the situation went from bad to devastating in seconds. Suddenly, this wasn't just a traffic stop. It was a full-blown disaster with years of trouble stacked against him. And here's where it gets even messier. Turns out King had a warrant hanging over his head all the way back from 2022. And no, it wasn't for some minor slip-up. That warrant was tied to charges of speeding, driving on a suspended license, and a full-blown DUI. Instead of facing the music in court, King straight up dodged the hearing for 2 years, letting the shadow of that decision follow him everywhere. And when October rolled around, that ghost finally caught him in the flesh. Cops didn't play around. He was arrested on the spot, first dragged into DeKalb County Jail, then shipped off to Pickens County to answer for the old warrant. The system wasn't letting him slide anymore. It was time to pay up. And the arrest report, cold, detailed, and humiliating. The officer wrote, "I informed Mr. Harris I would need to speak with him outside and opened the driver's side door. Mr. Harris was cooperative and I removed the firearm from his hip with no issue. I then had Mr. Harris step out of the vehicle and I detained him by placing handcuffs on him." Imagine that the son of T.I. standing silent while his gun got taken right off him like he was just another suspect on the block. Within hours, the footage spread like wildfire. Fans watched in disbelief as King, who had just been showing off luxury cars and flexing his lifestyle on Instagram, was now being pulled out of his ride, cuffed up and shoved into the back of a police vehicle. The image was chilling, the flashy young rapper stripped of everything but the hard truth of his own actions. But for T.I., none of this was shocking. Back in 2022, he and King went viral after clashing on Instagram Live in a heated back and forth that had everybody talking. In that moment, Tip didn't mince words. He warned his son straight up that the path he was choosing would only end in 2 places: behind bars or in the grave. He even went as far as saying, out of raw frustration and fear, that King could find himself serving 5 years in prison if he didn't wake up. And now with the way things are looking, that father's prophecy is cutting closer to reality than anyone expected. Now that chilling warning from T.I. feels less like fatherly advice and more like a prophecy carved in stone. King's behavior didn't just pop up overnight. It spiraled in plain sight, step by reckless step, until the crash became impossible to avoid. The world saw him throw hands in that infamous Waffle House brawl, and it wasn't just a scuffle, it was chaos caught on camera. He hopped on social media bragging about the so-called street life, flexing guns in his music videos like he was untouchable, and posting clips of himself smoking without a care in the world. Every time his parents tried to guide him back, King shut it down, acting like advice was poison and discipline was an insult. To outsiders, it looked like teenage rebellion. But T.I. knew better. He saw a dangerous pattern that looked way too familiar. Because Tip had lived it himself. He wasn't watching a random kid wild out. He was watching his own son mirror the same mistakes he made years ago. T.I. knows that road better than most. The prison time for weapons charges in the late 2000s, the mugshots, the trials, the struggle to rebuild his life. But unlike King, Tip fought to flip his story, becoming not just a rap star and actor, but a community leader who preaches growth and redemption. For years, he tried to hand down those lessons like armor, warning King, showing him the scars, trying to make him understand before it was too late. But like so many fathers and sons, the message got lost. King brushed it off, acting like his dad's wisdom was just tough love or empty threats, and that's what makes this sting so deep. Because now those words T.I. once said, time is gonna be his teacher. They don't just sound like a warning anymore. They sound like the hard truth waiting at King's doorstep. With his arrest already in the books and court dates looming heavy, it looks like time really might be the only thing left strong enough to humble him. The truth is, King's downfall didn't come out of nowhere. His reckless driving, the viral headlines, the run-ins with cops, they've all been adding up like puzzle pieces spelling disaster. And now, that picture is clear. A young man pushing limits without caring about the crash on the other side. Then came the moment that turned into a full-blown scandal and the infamous Waffle House altercation. What should have been nothing more than a small dispute exploded into chaos, caught on camera for the world to see. Instead of brushing it off, the clip went viral, painting King as entitled, aggressive, and reckless. Even T.I. admitted he couldn't wrap his head around why his son acted that way, pointing out it looked like pure pride and impulse running the show. But the real red flag came later when King was spotted alongside Boozie's son, Tootie Raw, during a music video shoot. The two of them weren't just rapping or vibing, they were on camera flashing guns, trying to sell the world on a street credibility image that could only end in danger. The sight set off alarms, not just for fans, but for their fathers. Two men who knew exactly how deadly that lifestyle could be, because they'd lived through it themselves. T.I. and Boozy stepped in, trying to throw their sons a lifeline with hard-earned wisdom, warning them that glamorizing violence was a road paved with funerals, handcuffs, and broken dreams. But the lesson? It barely sank in. King looked unfazed, as if the warnings were just background noise he didn't care to hear. That string of reckless stunts painted a dangerous picture, a young man spiraling out of control, testing boundaries and ignoring every guardrail his parents put up to protect him. And that's what cut T.I. the deepest, because for him this wasn't abstract. He already knew exactly where this road led. He'd lived it. The mugshots, the prison walls, the lost opportunities that haunted him for years. Tip tried everything to shield King from the same pain. Guidance behind closed doors, discipline when the cameras were off, and even public warnings when his frustration boiled over. But no matter how hard he pushed, King kept veering back toward the fire, almost daring fate to catch him. T.I. once admitted that sometimes, no matter how much wisdom a parent drops, only time itself can teach the lesson. And that truth hits harder than ever in King Harris's case, because his story took a twist nobody saw coming. In November 2024, just weeks after his headline-making arrest, King stepped into a whole new role: fatherhood. He proudly welcomed his baby boy and even dropped a track titled Dear Son, where he rapped about wanting to step up and be the kind of dad he wished he had growing up. For a brief moment, it looked like this new chapter might save him, that fatherhood could be the anchor pulling him out of chaos and grounding him in responsibility. But reality doesn't play fair. The joy of holding his son was quickly drowned out by the heavy shadow of his legal troubles. Instead of basking in the glow of being a new dad, King was staring down court dates, old warrants, and the very real threat of a 5-year prison sentence. The contrast couldn't have been sharper. On one hand, a young man trying to embrace fatherhood, rapping about love, legacy, and change. On the other hand, the wreckage of reckless decisions, all lined up and waiting to strip him away from that very future he was promising to his son. And of course, the internet wasted no time jumping in. Social media lit up with hot takes. Some people clowned him for trying to act like a family man, while his rap sheet told another story, while others actually praised him, hoping fatherhood would be the turning point to finally humble him. Either way, King's life was split in two: half baby bottles and lullabies, half mugshots and looming trials. The second news of King's arrest and looming charges hit the internet, social media went into meltdown. Everybody had an opinion, and they weren't holding back. Some critics aimed straight at T.I., accusing him of failing as a father despite all the warnings, lectures, and public guidance he had thrown out over the years. But others pushed back, showing sympathy for both Tip and King, pointing out the truth: parenting ain't easy, not even with fame, money, or privilege. Raising a headstrong son under the blinding spotlight of the internet, that's a battle no parent wins without scars. The online chatter turned into a messy cocktail of mockery and cautious hope. Some users clowned King, cracking jokes about the irony of flexing cash, cars, and guns on Instagram, only to end up in handcuffs like a walking cautionary tale. Meanwhile, others tried to spin it as a possible turning point, saying maybe fatherhood would finally slap reality into him, that having a child depending on him could be the one thing strong enough to pull him back from disaster. But the arrest footage itself added gasoline to the fire. Viewers couldn't stop dissecting every second. The way King stayed calm, almost too calm, as officers pulled him from his BMW and cuffed him. To some, it looked like he knew the cameras were rolling and leaned into it, playing the scene like he wanted to go viral even in that low moment. That sparked an uncomfortable question nobody could shake. Was King's recklessness really just pride and impulse, or was it all about validation? Was he chasing attention so badly that even being infamous was better than being ignored? Or was this the reality of a young man trapped between two worlds, born into the privilege of a superstar family, but addicted to projecting a hardened street image he couldn't let go of? Either way, the internet had made up its mind. King Harris was no longer just T.I.'s son. He was a walking headline, and the world was watching to see if he'd break or bounce back. Now here's where the story hits its deepest cut. As King Harris stares down the very real possibility of a 5-year prison sentence, this mess goes way beyond the courtroom. This isn't just about a judge, a gavel, or a jail cell. It's about legacy, fatherhood, and the brutal challenge of breaking cycles that destroy families generation after generation. For T.I., the whole situation is a painful deja vu. He's forced to sit back and watch his son stumble into the same traps he once fell into, despite years of pouring out wisdom, warnings, and hard truths. It's like watching history repeat itself in slow motion, only this time it's not him paying the price, it's his child. And that's what makes it sting so badly. Tip has been brutally honest about his past, about how prison time for weapons charges shaped his life and forced him to grow. He's turned that pain into purpose, rising from inmate to rap star, actor, and even a community voice for change. For years, he's been telling King that discipline, responsibility, and accountability aren't just words, they're survival. But reality? It's colder than any lecture. Because no matter how many times T.I. tried to redirect him, no matter how many public clashes or private talks, King kept brushing it off, choosing pride over guidance and risk over wisdom. Tip warned him that fame and money mean nothing if you pair them with reckless choices, because all it takes is one bad night to make it all vanish. And now the harsh truth is standing in front of them both. Some lessons can't be handed down no matter how badly a father wants to save his son. Some lessons can only be burned in through hard experience. And for King Harris, that experience might mean learning behind bars, with nothing but time, silence, and the weight of his own choices pressing down on him. And now we're left staring at the big question, what happens next for King Harris? The court dates are looming, the charges are stacked, and the 5-year sentence hangs over him like a storm cloud ready to burst. But this story isn't just about one young man wilding out, it's about the weight of a famous name, the curse of legacy, and the dangerous dance between privilege and destruction. Because let's keep it real. King grew up in luxury, but he's been fighting his whole life to prove he's real. That hunger for validation has pushed him closer and closer to the edge, and maybe even over it. The internet sees him as T.I.'s son trying too hard to wear a crown he didn't earn, while others argue he's just another kid caught in the same cycles his father already fought to escape. Either way, King's every move is being judged, recorded, and replayed like a public trial before the real one even begins. And here's where the pressure really kicks in. King isn't just fighting for his freedom, he's fighting for his identity as a father, an artist, and a man. His baby boy is growing while he risks being locked away. His music is out there, but his reputation is collapsing under mugshots and headlines. And T.I.? He's standing on the sidelines, forced to watch as his son tests everything he tried to shield him from. Some say prison will break King, others say it might be the only thing strong enough to rebuild him. But one thing's for sure, the world is watching every step. Will King flip this downfall into a redemption story like his father did? Or will he become another cautionary tale of fame, pride, and wasted potential? One wrong move could define him forever, and one right one could rewrite his entire legacy. If the judge decides to hit King Harris with the full sentence, it won't just be another headline. It'll be a brutal public reminder of what happens when reckless behavior spins out of control. Behind the flashing lights, the viral clips, and the gossip, there's a family struggling to hold it together under the harsh spotlight of fame. Parenting is tough for anybody, but when you're T.I. and your every move is magnified by millions, the pain, the disappointment, and the frustration cut 10 times deeper. And the internet, it hasn't made things easier one bit. Some people are dragging T.I., calling him a failed father who couldn't control his son. Others are clowning King's downfall, making memes out of his arrest like it's entertainment instead of a life unraveling. But then there are those who actually see the human side. A young man, a new father, caught at the crossroads of destruction and redemption while the whole world watches. This isn't just a legal battle. It's a story about legacy, mistakes, and the question of whether cycles can truly be broken. Will King serve time and come back stronger, or will this be the chapter that defines him forever? That's the real drama the world is waiting to see. Now, I want to hear from you. What's your take on all this chaos? Is King Harris about to face the harshest wake-up call of his life? Or is there still hope for him to flip the script? Drop your thoughts in the comments because the debate is just getting started. And make sure you smash that subscribe button to Juicy Real, where we keep you locked in with all the biggest scandals, celebrity drama, and stories they don't want you to hear. Trust me, you don't want to miss what's coming next.